Bulyagu Gaba, Nayagu Nanu Gamilaroi, Nama Biliari, Yalagamaru Naure Yalagahu, Nama Rorege Nale Dawan Garaga Yalahade, Naya Gilie Ninde Niani Nianu. Wana Ganu Yal Mal Dwal Walaba Gadahabal Dwan Gagi Gadahabal Yarada Gabaninda. The Gamilaroi language was almost lost but not forgotten. It was spoken sporadically by our elders, and through the relearning and the re-establishing in the Liverpool Plains now, it has once again come to life. Because when you say language, you talk about culture, history, all being intertwined, and making sure that once you have one, that the other two are coming along with us. So it's something that we are re-establishing and reigniting with a passion on the Liverpool Plains. My name's Jason Allen. I am the current CEO of the Walhallow Local Aboriginal Lands Council. The land on which we are on today is the Gamilaroi land of the Walhallow people. This is the land of my father and his people before him. The Walhallow community is situated in God's country, right in the heart of the Liverpool Plains. It's 20 minutes from the nearest smallish town, which is Caroona, an hour drive to Tamworth and Gunnedah. What makes Walhallow unique is that it was formed by people that thought they were doing what's right. The Walhallow community is a community that has 44 houses, 38 houses and 4 units. It has a health post that is also the Centrelink agency. There's also the post office. One of the first major events to impact the Liverpool Plains Aboriginal people, especially, was when the first explorers came to the top of the ridge. And the first words they uttered was, as if God made this land for us to do what we're going to do. And from that day onwards, that land belonged to the Crown, and life as we know it on the Liverpool Plains changed. This is the original site for Walhallow community. This site here was where people of the Mukai River clan were all gathered up and placed. They were all gathered and moved and placed in this one area here. The Walhallow station owner, who then told the story that in the best interest of the Aboriginal community, it would be good for them just to move all into this site. From being gazetted in 1907, the Australian Protection Board came on board, and then we had a mission manager. So you were no longer allowed to leave on your own free will. You had to ask for permission from the mission manager, and you had to sign a book to say what time you left and what time you came back. And if you didn't come back within the time that you said you were going to come back, you were arrested and thrown in jail by the police. And we went from being under the Protection Board's so-called protection to the Welfare Board. And that was run by the police out of Sydney. How you did anything was you had to go to the mission manager first, who then had to send the letter into the Werris Creek to ask the sergeant, who then had to send the letter or telegram to the police commissioner in Sydney. And at the same time, through the Protection Board and the Welfare Board, you had to go out and work. If you couldn't work, you couldn't get rations. And if you didn't have the money to buy the rations, you then had to go and starve. And The one good thing they say is that, thank God they brought the rabbits. Our old people had the thousands and thousands of rabbit recipes, and they could do anything with a rabbit. Rabbit stew, rabbit soup, baked rabbit, fried rabbit, rabbit curry. The one thing we had through the whole process of the growing of the Walhallow community was a school. The school is 114 years old. In its heyday, it had 350 kids. So we went from having the mission manager to a principal, and the same theory was in place, that he believed he could control the Aboriginal people of Walhallow. And right up until the early 80s, I can remember. Well, I started primary school. They were still there.
Jason Allen to me he's been a mate. You know, been my cousin mate growing up throughout all our lives. And like we was just all one big happy community, one big happy family, and we all looked out for each other.
You got the brothers on there.
With Ray Saunders, he's one of the elders here now. He's like the mayor of the mission. Nothing can function without him. He's with my mum, so he's my stepdad.
When we went to school, we weren't taught culture. There was nothing in there about Aboriginal culture. Even when we first went to high school, there was nothing in there. They told us about Captain Cook. That's history. Wrong history, because he didn't discover Australia. Australia was already here, and there were people living here.
That was when the boys were getting the cane, they used to rub the pepper leaves on their hands so it didn't sting so much, and like all that newspaper.
Well, you look at the history of Aboriginal people, education was denied for a lot of people. Like it was only in 72 that excluding Aboriginal kids from public schools was taken out of the handbook.
Built.
Yes.
Because they have the heaters now. We used to come and make the fire.
Back when we was going to school down at Walhallow, we wasn't really taught that much about Aboriginal cultural studies or anything like that.
Walhallow Public School, I think, is the focus of the community.
It's going to be repaired, I believe, after the PC in the gardens up there now.
But I think with the support of the parents and the community, a lot of kids have succeeded.
One of the memories I have at the Walhallow Public School were bush tugger days. Yep, and that really helped us get to know the culture and the animals that we were eating, and we used to hunt for our ancestors, our elders.
There's a yarning circle down there now that the kids sit around or with adults and tell stories. To just hear my grandkids, my great-grandkids speak language is just fantastic. It just makes me feel so proud.
Yeah, I'll let you count them in.
2, 3. Yama, Gaynaya Ashland, Gaynaya Lara.
You're always proud of where you come from, really.
Yalu.
Most people are, and most people from here are. I don't know about you guys. It's the sense of belonging. It grounds you. I was proud of all the kids down at the school that was, they embraced learning the language, the culture, and because they all know about the Wonder Dog story, the Screaming Woman story. When we was growing up, because we used to sit around and Mum used to tell a lot of stories, and same as Dad and other aunties and uncles. One of the stories that the old ones used to say or talk about was the Wonder Dog.
Every time I go on conferences or go to other communities, the one thing that they say that we're inside before the lights come on.
The Wonder Dog, every time you blink, he gets bigger. He's half man, half dog.
So this dog with the flaming eyes continues to grow every time you look behind it, to the point where you don't know whether to run or close your eyes.
I can remember that me and a couple of my cousins We sat up all night waiting for this wonder dog to come out, try and catch it.
You stop dead and you wait for the dog to grab you, but it never does. It just goes into oblivion.
There was a myth about a screaming woman.
The screaming woman coming onto the mission over at the train tracks, they call that the medal.
Her head screaming while it's in her arm.
I don't know how she got her head cut off or anything, but she used to run across there with her head under the arm and scream.
Apparently there's another story to that she's looking for her baby. Oh yeah, it was pretty scary. You know, wouldn't walk outside at dark.
Thinking back about it now, the story was crazy silly, but when you're a young kid, that's something you don't ask.
People, you're quick, you want to get home. But I used to say, because you're that frightened, you had to be in before dark. Or a ghost or whatever. Found out the real reason because they had to be back on the village, Walhallow village, before dark, otherwise they'd be put in jail. We had reserve manager then, and he had to give them the sign, the note to go off. Got to be back before 6. Or you had to be in bed before dark.
It was all to keep us inside and make sure that we didn't roam around the community at night.
My boys didn't learn about culture or anything, and my mum and dad never learnt me culture because the government stopped them in that period, took everything away. It affected them, the two boys, not knowing about culture. I lost both my boys through drug and alcohol abuse, you know, and not having that connection to culture really affected them. Yeah, because I wasn't taught culture from my parents. Coming to Walhallow, I have learnt all about culture because it was meant to be that I could learn here.
It's just in that room. She's in that room.
But you're tormenting her and she will come out.
I've learnt lots through elders in other communities as well as here in Walhallow. It's made me more connected to myself, and it's opened my eyes about lots of things. After I've lost my boys, praying to the Lord and this idea's popped into my head about a cultural wellbeing centre. It's a place where they can get back to nature. Connecting to culture is very, very important to Aboriginal people. There'll be smoking ceremonies and yarning to elders. I'm hoping that the Cultural Wellbeing Centre will help others. It's going to be a place where people suffering from mental health issues could pick up the phone and just say, I'm needing help. Learn about life and have a stability. There is another life besides drugs and alcohol abuse.
But we're all going forward and making sure that our visions are for the betterment of the community. And the one thing that we trying to build within community is employment and structure. Reigniting and re-establishing and bringing back language and culture back into one of the greatest communities that I've ever known and have grown up and had the privilege of growing up on, which is Walhallow community. And what I want to see in my community is employment. We are now looking at re-establishing culture, and from that culture we're going to start our own cultural tourism business, but we're also going to upgrade the 3 main buildings that sit at Walhallow, which is the hall, the health post, and also the old preschool. When once everything's completed, that becomes our cultural tourism centre. Nothing in life comes free. And this is something that we as a community are now developing and working on. We want to make sure that we are opening new ventures to something that will be self-sustainable for our community, self-sustainable for our future generation, our now generation. We have a vision where we want to be in the future. And this is something that we are now, as a community, developing and working towards.
There's another little, I've grown up here and I've had the best childhood.
There's a group of us, we're doing Certificate 3 in tourism. We've started our native plants veggie garden, and we're going to be doing cultural tours around the mission or to sites here to bring some tourism into the community.
At the last part of our journey for the day, we are looking at a scar tree. The scar tree is a canoe tree.
And also just to show other people in the community and the kids that, oh yeah, this is not a bad little place.
And it's just about building up our culture and bringing business to our community and building on that.
The Crindai Silo Art Project was a project that was thought up by one of the local farmers. And the Silo Art Committee was established 2023, was a great year. The main thing that the Silo Art possesses is from the past to the present. And it gives a journey from pre-colonisation. So this is where the Walhallow community sits first and foremost, where we have 8 stories that sit on that silo. That was our family and history of those stories, and we have the Yuluwiri Bunda story, which is the blue kangaroo. We have the Barawa, which is a red kangaroo that sits and pays homage to one of the main people that we have in the Liverpool Plains and Gamilaroi region, which is Red Chief. And we have the Urundali that sits on this silo art. We have the Gugu Gaga story and the fisherman. Then we have the Galah and the Marae, which is the Galah and the cockatoo. Then we have my favourite story, which is the Brolga and the Dinawan, or the Brolga and the emu. As a community, we take pride in the knowledge and the know-how that we have given our stories to take our visions and put a visual aspect to that. It's something that I want the community to feel proud of, that when they drive past the silo art, that they see those stories, and it gives them a self of pride and self-worth, because it's something that we should be proud about and should be showing off to the community. It's something that we do now, that those stories are coming from a place of pride, passion, and saying that this is who we are as a people. And it's something that we wanted to make sure that our journey is captured, and as part of our journey who we are as a people. Those stories on the silo art, that the Walhallow and Liverpool Plains Aboriginal people are here. We're not going anywhere. We're just going to continue to grow and be stronger. And through our journeys of stories that were lost can be refound and retold. We on the Liverpool Plains believe that not only the Urundali made our country, but God made our country. And what the Liverpool Plains is known as is the food bowl of Australia. You can grow anything on the Liverpool Plains. The Dream Tribe story, the volcano sat in the middle of the Liverpool Plains. And what she seen when she came out was the vastness and the flatness of the land. So what she did first and foremost was dug out the Mukai River, and from while she was cleaning out the Mukai, she made the ranges and the ridges that are there. One of the main peak ridges is the Beeburra, which was a main lookout point for our Aboriginal people, where they could see the oncoming tribes. She made the black soil country, and with that, she made country that is that fertile and you can grow pretty much anything you want in it. That's the uniqueness of this area that we live in. So she then laid down and looked back towards the Liverpool Plains making sure that we were always protecting and maintaining country.
Well, you speak to any person who's from Walhallow, they always got a piece of heart, Walhallow in their heart. A lot of them, they go away, they live away, but when they pass away, they always in their will or something to want to be buried at Walhallow. Take me back home. Well, we're trying to make Walhallow the best community it can be. I know there's a lot of potential there, and we're trying to become self-sufficient. We'll get our cultural tourist centre up and running, and hopefully that starts growing from strength to strength and just make self-sufficient.
We want to make Walhallow fit for the future, and it's something that we need to do and make sure that intergenerational changes happen through employment within the community, making the community stronger, at the same time bringing culture and language and all the history of this community, making sure it's not lost. That's something we want to put and generate to make sure that the vision that we have today will make sure that the vision of tomorrow is achievable.